I want to get something off my chest. I have quite a big bugbear with some of the modern video game titles, and that's the trend of the HUD, or the heads-up display, just being there to guide the player, to hold their hand. It's a trend that's become even more common over the past few years, with more and more games being tailored for the casual market. And honestly, in my opinion, I think it is ruining them. Now, for an online multiplayer game such as Battlefield, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, any other MMO, or game that is online and multiplayer and competitive, I understand the need for a heads-up display, and I understand that it's about us getting as much information to the player as possible. I get that, and that's fine. I don't have any bugbears with multiplayer games at all. In fact, I quite like having more information in the HUD in a multiplayer game. But when it comes to single-player experiences, I think it should be done a little bit differently. Let's look at two ends of the spectrum. If we look at the decent end, let's look at Dead Space and Tomb Raider. These are games that have very, very minimalistic to zero HUD at all. Now, the reason that these games are good is because instead of the player focusing on the UI elements, they're focusing on the world around them and using the world around them to navigate the area, find out what they're meant to be doing, and moving forward. To me, that gives me a much bigger sense of satisfaction when I finally complete an objective. It means that I've actually done the objective, I've completed the objective myself, rather than following a trail of breadcrumbs on a minimap or to an objective marker that's floating in midair. Now let's look at the opposite spectrum. Let's look at Assassin's Creed Syndicate. You can see from this gameplay here that I've captured that whilst I'm running through the streets of London, I've got a marker on the side of my screen that tells me exactly where I'm going, and if you look in the top left, you can see the description that tells me exactly what to do. All I'm doing is obeying what the game is telling me to do. I'm not having any input on it whatsoever. And yes, it might be required for the story for me to go a certain way, but instead of putting it in as a piece of text in the top of the screen, why don't you just use other gameplay mechanics to let me know which way I'm meant to be going? Maybe another character who I'm running with says this way, or some part of the environment suddenly blocks off another way, which forces me to go another way. Something that naturally forces me as a player to instinctively go in the way that I'm meant to. I get that this is a little bit more difficult with open world games, but even if you attempt to do that, it's still better than just putting it up in a text box in the top left. To illustrate my point better, I've found this pretty hilarious picture on Reddit, and I'll leave a link to it down below, and it's of The Division, and I think it's hilarious. I think it's a great representation of what I'm trying to get across to you, and you can see it's just got a load of text everywhere. It says, like, wrong way, follow the line. On the bottom it says follow the line to play the game. In the bottom left it says times you've cleared the same exact number of group of enemies, 26 out of 9,000. It's a pretty funny. It illustrates the point that I'm trying to get across very well. All that's happening here is that the player is just doing exactly what the developers are telling them to do. They don't get any satisfaction from completing an objective naturally because they're not completing it naturally. They're not doing it themselves, they're just doing what they're told. And this is why I'm so excited for the release of Tomb Raider on PC, because again, it's a chance for me to actually play the game rather than just completing a game. There's a difference between playing a game and completing a game for me. Completing a game like Assassin's Creed Syndicate is just doing as I'm being told. I'm just following what the developers want me to do. Doing Tomb Raider, yes, I'm doing what the developers intend me to do, but I'm doing it in my own way because I'm the one who's navigating it and figuring out what to do. And that's why I've started to become pretty picky about the HUDs in video games, especially single-player games. In Assassin's Creed, I've just started turning off the HUD, because whilst it might make it a lot more difficult for me to complete objectives, it then means that I'm actually forcing myself to look around at the environment and figure things out for myself. The best example I can give this is Witcher 3. Witcher 3 is a fantastic game by all means, but there are a few little bugbears that I have with the HUD. It's got a mini-map in the top right corner that just has a dotted line to where you're meant to go. And yes, you can turn this off in the settings, which is great. I love the fact that you can just customize the HUD and leave it as you want to. But to make it even better, I've installed a mod called Friendly HUD. Now what this does is it just completely removes the HUD when I don't need it. The health bar only comes up when I'm in combat or I'm injured. The potions and stuff, again, only comes up when I'm in combat, when I need them. And the minimap actually only comes up if I go into Witcher Sense or if I hold the map key. So when I actually do need a hand figuring out where to go, I can just hold the map key and figure out where I'm going to go. But when I don't have it up there, it's less of a distraction, and it means that I'm actually looking around at the environment and using Witcher sense to figure out what I'm supposed to do. And let me tell you now, it is a massively different experience when you make that switch from using the HUD elements to navigate and complete objectives to when you actually just do it naturally by looking around at the environment, and it is so much more satisfying. But what's your take on this? Let me know in the comments below. Do you enjoy having a really big cluttered HUD that just tells you where to go? Or do you enjoy doing it like I do, where you just explore the environment naturally and figure things out for yourself? I'm quite interested to know what you think. But that's all that I have for you today. If you enjoyed listening to me, don't forget to absolutely smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.